Hello, been a while. Happy Father's Day. It is also my 2 year and 7 month anniversary for sobriety. So, woohoo! I thought it was only 2 years and 6 months, and then I checked my app, and lo and behold, it's also the summer solstice, right? Yeah, as far as I remember. Um, Lots been going on. Uh, just you know, life, busy, a lot of work. Luckily, my crunch time is just about over. So I'll actually get a little bit of a reprieve coming up soon. So hopefully I'll be able to do some more content soon. But in between the meantime, somebody I know recently relapsed a couple weeks back. I can't say I was genuinely surprised. Um, I got confirmation of a particular rumor I'd heard today. And it got me thinking about the whole process of recovery and rehabs and all this other stuff. And you'll hear a catchphrase a lot, and that's if nothing changes, nothing changes. And you also hear other catchphrases in 12-step programs like, addiction is very, cunning and baffling and these things. And it's very true. It will show up in a myriad of different forms. But, if you talk to guys or girls, doesn't matter, you talk to people who go into these particular programs, when they first get there, initially you're going to hear a lot of the same things. Why are you here? My friends or my family kept asking me to get sober. I'm here for my kids. I'm here for my significant other. I'm here because I'm court ordered. I'm here. You know what I mean? Um, Once in a while, you'll get, I'm here because I wanted to get sober. Okay. Well, why did you want to get sober? And usually it'll come back to an external. And this is an area most people miss. I know I missed it many, many times. If you look at why you're in active addiction, why is it you're doing whatever form of escapism you're doing, whether it be a drug or alcohol or gambling or sex or shopping or whatever, whatever maladjusted coping mechanism. 99 times out of 100, it's, oh, this happened or that happened. It's some person, place, thing, or institution external of yourself has caused you to have some kind of significant emotional reaction that you're having difficulty dealing with or don't want to deal with at all. So you go to an external source to numb, hide, escape. And it may not even be anything traumatic. I mean, it could be, something as dumb as 5 minutes ago, I had a elderly woman basically stop in the middle of the road because she was trying to do a U-turn, and I almost hit her. And I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like, and I beat my horn, and she does her U-turn. It just kind of gives me this sly smile, and I'm like, I just had to laugh. I'm like, "All right, Granny, you get it, go." Like, you know what I mean? Like, but something like that, like 5 years ago or 10 years ago, however long ago, that would have totally set me off. You know, um, and I'm sure it's true with a lot of people. It could be something as stupid as you got wasted the day before, and you wake up feeling shameful and guilty, and that's just a perpetual cycle. The point is there was always an external reason, excuse, or justification. So now you've entered into rehab. Why are you there? Well, most people, there's still an external excuse, reason, or justification. And therein lies the problem. I mean, it's great that it got you in the door. Cool. But you really got to dig deep and get brutally honest with oneself. Hopefully you're there to change your life. Okay, and when they talk about surrendering to the process, this is kind of what they're talking about. They're talking about surrendering. Let somebody else make decisions for you for a little while. Okay, let somebody else guide your day to day and structure a new routine for you and all of these other things so that you don't have to worry about these external things. You can focus on this. Because if you don't change that thinking that it's always these external things that are dictating your life, you're never going to live your life. You're always going to be at the whim of something or someone else. That's not living, that's reacting. That's surviving. And just like when you're in active addiction, at some point you will start to resent those external things for having that kind of control or power over you. So if you go into rehab relying on external things to motivate you to change your life, guess what? You're going to get resentful of those too. It's only a matter of time. Because thinking hasn't changed. The pattern has not actually changed. You might have changed the title of the movie, you might have changed the actors, the cast, and the crew, but you know what? It's just a sequel. And we all do this. We've all done it in multiple areas of our lives. This is what some call a karmic cycle. I know it's weird lighting, sorry. Um, you find yourself going through relationships that have very similar experiences or very similar end results. Guess what? Probably going into them for the same reason over and over and over again. This person who relapsed had been on what most call medically assisted treatment. We're on a particular prescription specifically for opiate addicts. I agree and disagree with medically assisted treatment. I agree that it has its place and purpose, but I also agree that it should be a very short term thing. Unfortunately, I run into people all the time who've been on these particular drugs for years, and you might have changed some of the behaviors. You basically have just swapped the dependency to something else that's now controlled. And that's not a solution. It's a band-aid. And it gives the illusion and the false sense of confidence that one has done the healing work that is necessary to truly live a life of sobriety. Living a life of sobriety is actually quite simple once you decide to process and once you go through the healing work of self forgiveness and learning how to love oneself again. You will start to naturally build a life you no longer wish to escape. And this is why gratitude is so important and why it's so important to recognize the things you're grateful for. As within, so without. You change your mindset, your perspective, change how you feel internally. You become the person you know you are in your heart. And you're not afraid or embarrassed as to whether or not people like it or don't like it because it doesn't matter. It's not for them, it's for you. That will naturally start to reflect in the world around you because you're not going to be looking at the world the same way. You're not going to be comparing this to everything and everyone else out there. You're going to stop telling yourself you're not good enough or that you were bad or all these other things. You're going to reprogram the subconscious mind so that you no longer seek to, the validation you seek will be different. Instead of trying to prove to yourself over and over and over again that you're a bad person and you're unworthy of love and all this other crap and you're meant to struggle and blah 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 and all this lack and victim mentality mindset stuff that we're all programmed with to some degree or another. It's just a product of our current society and the way a lot of us were raised, you won't see as much of that and you won't feel you need to escape as much because you'll get that fulfillment from within. I'll go into that more later, but because it gets pretty deep pretty fast. Um, and a lot of people early in recovery, they're not they're not ready for a lot of that. There's a lot of layers and healing that need to happen before you can really get to some deep spiritual stuff. Um, that's not to say that it's not possible, because of course it is. You know, and that's like this last program I went through was a what they called a faith based program. Okay, and they put a very heavy emphasis on. Matter of fact, they had very little 12-step work at all. But they put a very heavy emphasis on the spiritual, faith based portion of recovery, which in and of itself is relying on an external, but it is a tool like anything else. And when the tool is properly used, there is a lot of internal things that will get healed, and you learn to become a lot more self reliant for a lot of things, not just your everyday physical mundane needs, but your emotional needs, your spiritual needs. You will learn to rely on the divinity within all of us. The 12-step stuff is there to help you get to the point where you can start to accept that as a potential solution. And it's not even a solution, it's a tool to help one heal, by disengaging and disarming the ego. Teaching you accountability and ownership. Stop blaming the mess of your life on everyone and everything else. Sure, there are instances that happen that are just beyond our control. And that's part of it, is learning how to accept those things. But life is, I can't remember what the statistic is, something about like 20% what happens to you and 80% how you handle it, basically, how you perceive it. It it always amazes me. We get so wrapped up in the day-to-day noise and everything. When was the last time you actually just went for a walk outside? When was the last time you enjoyed a sunrise or a sunset? When was the last time you heard the birds singing and you didn't think, "Oh God, shut up, I need to sleep"? Try to find the beauty in life again. Appreciate those things. Appreciate every breath you have because they're always gifts. That's why they call it, being in the present moment. It's called present because it's a gift. So, yeah. So happy Father's Day. Happy anniversary to me. Yay. And there'll be more soon.